Alright, what is up everybody? It's Crazyshark 8000 here. Crazyshark 8000 here. Sorry, I just woke up. I'm bringing you another one of my movie reviews. I know I was supposed to give one last week, but I had shit to do, okay? So, now I'm back, and I'm gonna restart the movie reviews now with one of my favorite horror movie franchises ever. Friday the 13th. I have the Ultimate Edition DVD collection of parts 1 through 8 in these adorable little DVD cases of 2 movies each. So in this one, it has parts 1 and 2. I'm actually watching part 1 right now as we speak. So I'm going to review part 1 first. Alright. So the movie starts out, before I start, I just want to say this is an amazing series, directed by Sean S. Cunningham, amazing director, one of my favorite horror movie directors of all time. Alright, and definitely, it's got to be it is my top favorite horror movie franchise out of all of them. So, without getting started, let's start on the storyline of Friday the 13th, Part 1, or Friday the 13th, whichever one you prefer. So, the film starts off at Camp Crystal Lake in 1958, I believe it is. And there's counselors singing some religious songs, mentioning angels and God and all that crap. No offense to any of my religious viewers. So, they do that, and then the camera cuts off to a first-person perspective, and somebody's walking through a cabin. If you see my eyes look away, it's because I'm watching a movie right now. So somebody's walking through a cabin, and whoever it is isn't really doing anything. They're just looking at the kids and walking through. And a horror movie like this, you think to yourself, that's got to be the killer. And most of the cases, that's true. So, they stop singing their religious stuff. 2 counselors wander off. And they're gonna go get a little action on, if you know what I mean. So, they start to do it, I guess. So, if you could call what they were doing it, I guess. So, that first person perspective comes back again, and he's walking up, whoever it is walking up the stairs to where the 2 camp counselors are making out. I shouldn't say doing it, because that guy didn't make it to any base, I'll say that much. He didn't even get up to bat. So, they notice somebody's there. The girl starts buttoning her shirt up again. The guy's putting his belt buckle back on. He's actually gonna get laid. Yeah, right. So the guy's like, we weren't doing anything. We were just messing around. Boom! He gets a look of like he just got hit in the gut. The girl screams. Next shot of the guy, he's fallen to the ground. He's been stabbed in the stomach. So if you were thinking that first person's perspective at the beginning of the film was the killer, you were correct. So he's dead. Guy's a virgin. So, the girl's corner, she's like, please don't kill me, and yada yada yada, but come on, we all know you're gonna die. And it stops, she screams, and it's like freeze frame, and it just fades, and then the title of the movie comes bursting onto the screen, which is actually kinda cool. I'm actually gonna show you that clip right now, in case you haven't seen the movie. It's actually pretty cool. Let's show it. Definitely one of the greatest title intros I've ever seen. Well, not one of the greatest, but it's up there. So, the film skips to the present. Not our present. I'm gonna guess somewhere in the 60s. I'm gonna say about 1968, something along those lines. I don't know. It wasn't exactly said, I don't think. So, it starts off, there's this girl, Annie. She's walking through the neighborhood trying to find a ride to Camp Crystal Lake, which has just been rebuilt, refurbished, and all that other bullshit, and it's about to open up again. And everyone around her is saying, "You're going to Camp Blood?" That's the nickname they've given the camp. It's a badass nickname. I'd go to a camp called Camp Blood. Are you kidding me? So it's like, they're saying, they're not like deterring her from going. So she gets a ride from somebody named, it's about to come up, anything. Enos. Thank you, movie. So, as Annie is leaving with Enos to go get a ride, which is halfway, they run into a guy named Ralph, or Crazy Ralph as they call him. He's like, "You going to Camp Blood, ain't ya? You'll never come back again." Basically saying, and it's like, Enos basically tells Ralph to fuck off. And then Ralph's like, "The camp's got a death curse," and nobody believes him because he's a freaking nutbag. And so Annie and Enos are driving, and Enos is basically, he tries to get Annie to quit out of the job because Camp Crystal Lake is basically jinxed. He mentions 2 kids murdered in '58, which were the two people in the beginning of the movie who got killed. A boy drowning in 1957. We'll get to that later at the end of the movie. A bunch of fires. It's like nobody knows who did any of them. 1962, they were going to open up. The water was bad. It's like yada yada yada. It's like he's like, "Just quit." She's like, "I can't quit." And it's like, it's like dumb kid, know it all, and yada 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 yada. So she gets dropped off. I think somewhere during that, it cuts to 3 more counselors: Ned, Marcy, and Jackass. I'm sorry I had to do that. No, but his name is Jack, Marcy, and Ned. They're basically driving to the camp as well, and sorry if you keep hearing me open this. So they're driving to the camp as well, and it's like they get to the camp before Annie, and they meet their boss, Steve Christie, and another person that was already there. What's her name again? Alice. My God, I'm supposed to be a horror movie, freaking Friday the 13th fan. I can't remember the names. So they meet the boss, Steve Christie, and then another counselor, Alice. It's like they're all getting set up. I don't know. I guess Steve and Alice got some sort of love thing going on. I didn't really pick up on it much. I don't pick up on that stuff. So, like that. There are a couple of run-ins with like snakes and the cops and all that. The cops are like, "Crazy Ralph's out, pedaling out this way." The nutbag you saw in the beginning of the movie, saying camp's got a death curse and all that. So, a little later, Annie gets another ride. I don't get why she couldn't walk half a freaking mile to the camp. Literally, it wasn't even a half a mile. It was like maybe a quarter to a third of a mile left. Like, come on. If you can't walk that, you're weak as shit. Sorry, this is turning into a rant. So she gets another ride. She's like, "I'm going to Camp Crystal Lake," and she's talking to it's that first. Also, key thing, it's that first-person perspective again. It's that ominous first-person perspective. So, she's yammering on about freaking working with kids, and my God, at this point, you just want her dead. So they drive by the camp. She's like, "Didn't we just go past the camp?" At this point, the ominous music starts playing, and at that point, you know the driver is the killer. So Annie jumps out of the car, face plants on the dirt, I think. The killer chases her down through the wood, over the river and through the woods. Don't think I'm gonna say the last part. I'm not actually trying to do this. I don't think that was a river either. Why the fuck did I say that part? So eventually Annie trips at the killer's feet. She backs up to her tree. She's like, "No, don't kill me," and yada 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 yada. And you know what? Killer slits her throat. It's a pretty good throat slitting animation. I'm not actually going to show that. because I don't need to freaking get people complaining about the graphicness of this. So we hear her body collapse, and that's the last we see from Annie. And at this point, you're just like, thank God, the one's shutting the hell up. It's fucking done. So at the camp, they're wondering where Annie is. Nobody really wonders where Annie is. Fuck Annie, I guess. So they get a generator going because the power wasn't working yet, and Alice goes to put some stuff away, and frickin' A gets the shit scared out of her by Crazy Ralph. He's in the frickin' pantry. I don't know how the fuck he got in there without being noticed in the first place, honestly. So, he's like, I'm a messenger of God. You're doomed if you stay here. Oh my God, it kind of scares me how I did a good impression like that. That's actually kind of how it sounds. He's like, God sent me. You're all doomed. Leave now. Like he's some sort of freaking oracle or something. I don't fucking know. So he leaves, and they're all like, I guess we just met Ralph. And it's like, continues, Storm rolls in, Ned actually sees somebody duck into a cabin wearing a black rain poncho, so he goes and investigates it. Ominous music played, I think, a bit. And at this point, you knew Ned was good as dead. That rhymed. So, Jack and Marcy go off to another cabin. Marcy begins to take her clothes off, and you know at this point what's about to happen. They're about to get it on, and oh my God, what a scene that is. I'm definitely not gonna show that. I don't need to have to put an age restriction. I don't need this to be my first video where I need to put an age restriction on it. I'm not gonna show that scene even though look it up on the internet. So they're doing it, and right above them we find out what happened to Ned. His throat was slit. He's in the frickin' bunk above that Jack and Marcy while they're doing it. At this point, Marcy orgasms or something. I don't exactly like she moans. I don't know. So it's like she goes off to the bathroom, post-sex piss, I guess. She's like, you're lying on my bladder. It's like it's not even physically possible to lie on your bladder, but okay. So Jack's laying in the bed. He's smoking a cigarette. All of a sudden, a little drop of blood. If you look at it where it's gonna land, you'll see it. It plops onto it, drips onto his head. He feels where it is, and he looks up, and a hand reaches out from underneath the bed, grabs him by the head, and up through the bed comes like a arrow or a fire poker or whatever. It's a pretty gruesome scene. So that's the end of Jack. Marcy goes off to the bathroom. And at this point, Bill, another counselor, Bill, Alice, and Brenda, another counselor, I forgot to mention, are playing strip Monopoly in the freaking another cabin, like the main cabin. Excuse me for a second, I don't mean to help this, I just need to check the time. Alright. Have a health hilarity. The fuck? So, they're doing that. Marcy goes off to the bathroom. She hears a noise, but she's not sure what it is. So, she looks around. All of a sudden, coming from behind her, the killer raises the hatchet and slams it into her face. She was dead before she even hit the floor. So, the storm's getting worse. Brenda goes back to her cabin, and as she's in the cabin, she hears a voice crying for help. I don't know where that came from exactly, but you know what? It's a voice. So, she follows the voice. She ends up going to the archery range, and, the lights turn on. She's like, it's not funny anymore. Stop scaring me. And we hear her scream, and at this point, we all know she's dead. So at that point, Bill and Alice go to search for everybody. They don't find anything. They find a bloody axe in the bed in the cabin where Jack and Marcy were. I don't know why the axe is there. I don't know. Plot convenience, I guess. Oh, excuse me. So looking around. The power goes out. Bill goes to check the generator, leaving Alice behind in the cabin. After a couple minutes, Alice goes looking for Bill, and she finds Bill pinned to the wall by arrows, like 3, I think. One in his eye, one in his throat, and one in his nuts. God, I just hope the ones went to his eye and killed him for that arrow to the nuts, dude. Oh, God. I used to be a camp counselor, then I took an arrow to the nuts. God, I hate myself for saying that. So, Alice is running around trying to find help. At this point, Steve was already killed off as well earlier. I forgot to mention that, I'm sorry. So Brenda's body gets thrown through a window into the cabin, and Alice begins to freak out. And it's like she looks out the window and sees a Jeep approaching. She thinks it's Steve coming back, and she runs outside. It's a woman. She's like, "Who are you?" And then the woman's like, "I'm Mrs. Voorhees, an old friend of the Christies." So Alice feels kind of safe. Alice shows her everybody dead, and then Mrs. Voorhees begins to be like, "Did you know a young boy drowned a year before 2 other kids were killed? The counselors weren't paying any attention," and yada yada yada. His name was Jason. Remember what I said about the boy drowning in 57 earlier in the video? Yeah, it gets close. Jason was her son. And Mrs. Voorhees is like, "You let him drown, you never paid any attention." She whips the knife out of her boot, starts chasing down Alice, and at varying points, Alice kicks Mrs. Voorhees' ass, thinking she knocked her out. And eventually, she escapes down to the docks, but Mrs. Voorhees is behind her with a machete. She tries to swing it at Alice, misses. They fight. Alice gets the advantage, gets up, grabs the machete, and decapitates Mrs. Voorhees. Excuse me, another check. Decapitates Mrs. Voorhees. This is an awesome scene. I don't give a shit. I'll show you that scene. I'll show you what it's like. So Alice, and that's a badass scene. Alice goes into a canoe, floats off, and she sees the morning after the cop cars are in the camp, and out of nowhere this undead kid just comes out of the water, grabs her, and pulls her into the water. She wakes up in a hospital, and the men are like, and the cops are like, "2 of my men pulled you from the lake, we thought you were dead too, everyone's dead," and all that. And he's like, "Do you remember very much?" And she's like, "The boy, is he dead too? The boy, Jason." And it's like, the cop's like, "Ma'am, we didn't find any boy." And then Alice is like, "Then he's still there." And it shows a shot of the lake, I think a ripple, and then the camera just fades to black, and the credits roll. So that's Friday the 13th Part 1. It's a badass film. I definitely, if you're going to watch the Friday the 13th movies, definitely start with the original. And alright, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And when I see you next time, I will review Friday the 13th Part 2. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Adios. Killer bitches.